Help
I
me.
didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything.
I need help, Sandra. Please help me. Screaming after screaming after screaming. He's in pain. I need help. Help me, Sandra. Help me.
And while he isn't looking, she makes a strike straight up all the way to his neck.
No, I did not kill my husband.
Houston, Texas was aglow with the excitement of the holiday season. Herman Melgar and his family arrived at the home of his younger brother Jaime to prepare for Christmas and enjoy a festive party together. But when Herman arrived at the home his little brother shared with his high school sweetheart Sandra, he slowly started to realize that something was deeply and terribly wrong. First, he knocked on the door to the home. He was surprised that no one answered, but at the same time, it wasn't unusual for Jaime to get caught up in projects around the home and lose track of time. Herman walked around the back of the home only to discover that the back door was also locked. He got a strange, sinking feeling. It wasn't like Sandy and Jaime to be locked away like this in the middle of the day. In spite of Sandy suffering from lupus and rheumatoid arthritis that sometimes put her in a wheelchair, they were an active, lively couple who enjoyed spending their time doing things that brought them joy. With his concern rising, Herman slipped in through the open garage and poked his head inside the home with his family following behind him. Immediately, he could hear a weak voice calling out for help. He raced through the home in a frenzy until he reached this closet inside Jaime and Sandra's master bedroom. The air harbored the horrible metallic tang of blood. Herman could hear Sandy on the other side of the door begging for help, but a confusing sight sat before him. The closet door was wedged shut with the chair. He threw the chair out of the way and opened it, only to be struck by an even more confusing sight. Sandra was lying face down on the ground, sobbing. She had soiled herself from being locked in the closet at length and looked to be in a state of utter shock. Her hands were tied behind her back, and her feet were bound together by a scarf. The knots around her wrists were so tight that neither Herman nor any of his family members could untie them. Ultimately, they were forced to cut Sandra free with a knife. When Sandra was freed, she began to scream for her husband, asking where he was. She wasn't sure how long she had been in the closet, but she knew she had been crying for him, and he never came. When she rushed into their bedroom, she realized why. Jim was lying at the edge of their closet. His feet were bound by a telephone cable, and his body was matted with his blood. He had been stabbed 34 times, and appeared to have been reaching for his gun in the closet when he took his last breath. When medics arrived on the scene, they were met with a situation that was gruesome for more reasons than one. Sandra was reportedly so shaken that she was inconsolable, screaming and sobbing. She didn't know what day it was, or even what time it was. An EMT stated that Sandra was so disoriented and seemingly traumatized that she could hardly carry on a conversation or even answer basic questions. When you look at her relationship with Jaime, who frequently went by Jim, it's understandable why she would be in shambles. Jim and Sandra began as high school sweethearts. For weeks, Jim did everything he could to get Sandy's attention. He'd ask her for pencils, ask questions about their homework, and accidentally run into her in the hallway. It was only after he had asked her on a group date to an ice skating rink and she arrived to find him the only person there that their relationship blossomed. After that date, the two quickly fell in love. Soon after they graduated high school, they got married. Things weren't always easy, however. Sandra gradually became horribly sick from various autoimmune diseases. Her daughter Liz recalls that there were times when she was a child that her mom was confined to a wheelchair and days where she couldn't even get out of bed because her pain was so great. Ultimately, Sandra was forced to give up her job as a nurse because her high risk of seizures rendered her unable to drive. Yet, the two remained side by side through their struggles, and according to their daughter, they were a shining example of true love.
I give them credit for showing me what a loving and healthy relationship is.
The night Jim was murdered, he and Sandra were celebrating their 32nd wedding anniversary. Though they'd actually been married on the 12th of December, they decided to postpone their celebration until the 22nd because Sandra had been feeling ill on the actual date. The two went to dinner at a Mexican restaurant, stopped at CVS to buy sodas to use as mixers, and then returned home, where they sat in their jacuzzi for several hours, eating strawberries, drinking, and, well, being intimate. In her interrogation, which was only hours after she learned her husband died, Sandra went on to explain what she remembered from the night. Unfortunately for her, she didn't remember much. And what she did claim to remember wasn't what investigators wanted to hear.
I need to do a statement from you, okay? That's why we're here. And I have a little recorder and do a little statement and get some questions from you answered. Where were you at? Let's start from the morning when you woke up today. Where were you at? Yes.
In my closet.
This morning.
Yes.
Okay, what about yesterday? Let's start yesterday,
Yesterday,
which would be Saturday.
we went out to eat.
Okay, where'd y'all go eat at?
Mexican restaurant. I think it was Bravos or
And what time was that?
no, it wasn't Don Bravos. It was Cuco's. It's about 8. I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't know.
Okay, so approximately 8 o'clock
Mm-hmm.
on Saturday. And then after that, what did you do? Was your husband? Who is your husband? What is your husband's name?
Jaime Melgar.
Melgar. Was he with you when y'all went to eat? Okay. Then did y'all come home or go somewhere else?
We went home, but we stopped at CVS.
Okay, then what?
Then we went home.
And when you got home, what did y'all do?
We made some drinks and went and got in the jacuzzi.
According to medical records, Sandy is prone to bouts of memory loss due to her history of epileptic seizures. At the time of the crime, she was heavily medicated for multiple conditions, including lupus, epilepsy, and rheumatoid arthritis. That being said, as with many autoimmune diseases, treatment often needs to be changed and adjusted to match the ebb and flow of the condition to prevent reoccurrence.
He got out. I think the dogs were barking a lot. And
Where were your dogs at?
we usually have them in that barricade in the dining area. I mean, the kitchen.
How many dogs do you have?
I have 4.
So you keep all 4 of them
Puppies.
inside that barricade area?
Yeah.
Okay. That's where they were last night.
Because the doggy door's there.
Okay.
That's why
So they can go in and out.
Right.
They can into the backyard.
Yeah.
So y'all were sitting there talking for a couple hours. And what happened?
He got out once to go get ice and then came back and then said he was going to move the dogs because they were barking too much.
What was he wearing?
The towel.
Okay.
That was it.
So he went and got ice, and you say move the dogs.
I think he took my fuzzy shoes. I'm not sure.
Okay. And how long was that during the time y'all were there? Y'all sat there for a good solid 2 hours talking?
Yeah.
And he didn't move?
He went out once to get ice.
Where to get ice? In the kitchen?
Uh-huh.
Then he comes back.
Mm. I got out, I went to the bathroom and got back in.
There inside that bathroom? Okay.
And that was it. Then he got out and said he was moving the dogs to the office because when they're too loud, we don't want the neighbors to complain. They move. So that's what he did. And he just, it was taking a while, so I got out and was gonna get dressed or change in my closet. And I went in there and I started to change. And that's all I remember until I woke up. And then I remember I woke up and I thought I had had a seizure because my muscles hurt and my head was just hurting real bad. And usually, lately I've been having trouble with controlling my seizures. So I dozed off again. I just fell asleep again. Until several hours later, I woke up and realized I was tied up. And I tried to flip over because my left side was asleep. I'd fallen asleep. So I tried to flip over, and then I kind of got stuck where I was for the rest of the time. That's all I remember. That's it. I mean, I would tell you more if I remembered more. I just don't. It's just.
Do you have pain?
Do I have pain? My legs were cramping and my wrists hurt from the.
Nowhere else?
I have pain on my head here.
Like what?
Like I got hit on the head. I don't know if I fell or was pushed or what, but just like all alongside this side.
When Sandy was taken in for questioning, she rejected going to the hospital to get her injuries assessed. A medic on the scene stated that Sandy had no injuries aside from bruising on her upper arm and ligature marks from being tied up. However, many people close to Sandy, and Sandy herself, have publicly stated that she had an egg-sized bump on her head that coincided with falling or being struck.
The time when he got out to go check on the dogs, to go move the dog, what time was that?
I'm gonna say 1 or 2 in the morning.
And when he did that, what kind of noises did you hear?
Nothing. The jacuzzi was still running. Even when I got out, the jacuzzi was running. Sometimes we have to turn it off in the closet because the button won't work.
So
We
the
turn it on.
jacuzzi was making noise, it was pretty loud.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't hear anything over that.
I didn't hear anything.
Hear anybody scream?
No.
Hear the dogs? Well, you could hear the dogs bark.
Yeah, because they were right outside our window.
So did he have to go outside to get them?
I don't think so. Usually he just calls them and they come.
They come in the doggy door?
Yeah.
So you don't have to open the door?
Sometimes, yeah. Because some of the little ones don't want to come in. They're not.
Now, if he opened the door last night, you would have heard that, right?
I don't think so. No. The front? No, you mean the back door?
Well, whatever door
No.
you'd have to open to get
I wouldn't
them.
have heard it. No.
So, we work hundreds and hundreds of murders.
Mhm.
Okay? And sometimes we work cold-blooded killers
Mhm.
that just on the street that would just kill somebody for nothing. Okay? Then sometimes we work murders that they're in an argument and something happens.
Mhm.
Okay? There's 2 different types of people. You understand? Because if you argue with somebody and you lose it, your
No.
temper and an argument
That's
happens.
not what happened. That's not what happened. And I think I'm going to stop talking now because I think I'm going to need a lawyer because I know how this works.
Sandy saying she thinks she's going to need a lawyer isn't her actually invoking her right to remain silent because she doesn't make a direct statement that she is requesting a lawyer. She says she thinks she's going to need one. Detectives continue to question her, and she willfully answers, leading to increasingly stressful questioning.
Okay. And let me ask you this. When I asked you before, you didn't answer my question. Why are we here? Do you know what has happened today?
My husband was murdered.
How?
I don't know. I don't think he was shot.
What do you
I would've
understand?
heard it.
What do you understand has happened? Who told you that he was murdered?
I saw him.
You did?
Yes, when they untied me, I heard hysterical screaming and I ran over there and I checked his pulse
Okay.
to see if there was anything we could do. Yeah, I saw him.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I saw him.
And you You touched him. Touched his wrist.
I touched his neck.
Okay. Well, let me ask you something. It's all procedure for us to talk to you. Okay. We want to find out the answer to this as bad as you do. Okay, we do. We really do. And we're not trying to cause you trouble or cause you pain. But we have a procedure. Are you familiar with a polygraph exam? Would you be willing to take a polygraph exam?
Yeah.
Okay. We have a person that's going to come here. He's probably
I
here
can't
now.
do it now. I'm just a nervous wreck right now.
Okay. Well, let me
I just
explain.
can't do
Let
it
me
now.
explain this.
And I'd rather talk to a lawyer about it because I already feel like, I know where this is going.
Okay. Well, I want you to understand that our motive is to try to find out what happened to your husband. Just like I told you.
I know.
And our procedure is to do that now. Now, I understand that you're upset. I understand that you've been through a lot. This person that does this is a professional and is able to filter for that. They're able to work through that. And I want you to meet with him and talk to him, no matter if you take the exam or not. Okay? And that way they can explain that to you, because I'm not a polygraph examiner. I'm not a professional at that. But I'm telling you that, that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to pin something on you. We're not trying to get you to say that you've done something that you haven't done. Okay? We're merely trying to go through the procedure so that later on, when we're asked, we can tell you that that's what we've done. We've done our procedure. We've done our job. Okay? Something I want you to understand is that what we do when we investigate something like this, Sandra, I want you to understand that we go to all extremes. We don't quit. You're going to see a lot of me. You're going to see a lot of my partner.
Okay.
You are. We're going to find out everything about you. We're going to find out everything about your husband. We're going to talk to everybody in your neighborhood. We're going to talk to everybody that you're related to. We're going to learn everything.
But I hope
We're
you're looking
processing-
somewhere else too, because it's not me.
We're processing this. You're seeing your house too. Okay? And a whole lot of stuff goes into these things. Okay? It's just so important that you be honest with us.
Yeah.
It is so important. And, I told you it's protocol that we start close to that victim. That's you.
I know.
That's protocol. Okay? And we didn't just walk into this ball game yesterday. And we can tell a whole lot of stuff by the way that when we start with people, the way they react, the way they act. You need to understand that. May not always show, may not always let that be known to you. But we're no fools. You need to understand that too.
I know.
Okay? And we've been doing this long enough to where there's things we recognize. You gotta understand that too. Okay?
But I did
We
not
talk
do
to
this.
people all the time. I never said you did.
Mhm.
I did ask you to take a polygraph test.
Yes.
I did.
And I know
And-
I'm too shaking and I'm freezing and
What's your explanation though? What's your excuse for not taking one? It's not holding water, Sandra. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's not. I'm not. I'm just being upfront and honest with you, and that's my job to do that.
I just don't want to take it and then it's used against me.
That's not
Because-
possible.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Polygraph tests aren't admissible in court because they're not deemed scientifically accurate enough to be used against someone. Instead, they're largely used by detectives to corner suspects and urge them to confess. Detectives did follow through with their promise of exploring every angle. After interviewing neighbors, friends, and family, as well as going through all of Sandra and Jim's electronic correspondence, they were unable to find any motive or sign of problems within their relationship. According to the investigators, neither Jim nor Sandra were having any affairs, and there were no arguments between them noted.
You know, what I saw there, when I saw your husband's body, that's a pretty violent attack, okay? And the problem I'm having is, you know, I've gone through what you're telling me and the way that I expected this went down, okay? And I've worked a lot of these, okay? And the problem I have is that, you know, if he encountered somebody when he went in there, when he was gone for 15 minutes, you got out 5 minutes later, so he had a good 5 minutes. That's a long time. And he went in there to deal with what he dealt with, and then you move into the closet to take care of your business there and get dressed and put lotion on. And if he encountered something that would do what we see there, you're going to hear it. You're going to hear something. And if that something is coming into the same room where you're at to either knock you out or even encounter you, you're going to hear something. I don't care if you've got a tank cranked up in that bathroom with you, you're going to hear something when somebody encounters somebody that's stabbing
I
somebody
wish I had, but I
that
didn't.
violently, that many times. You're going to hear that. I've seen people be stabbed in person, and you're going to hear it. You're going to live that the rest of your life. Okay? You're going to hear that.
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything. I wish I had heard something. I didn't.
See that what we're seeing there, the physical evidence that's there, and what you're telling us, is just not adding up, Sandra. I'm not one to call you a liar, but I'm saying
I mean, I know what
you
you're
had to
saying.
hear something. You're our only person that was in that house.
I know.
You know,
I
we're
know,
here, we're
I
going
know.
to try to get to the bottom of this, but you're the only one that was in that house. And, you know, are you scared of something?
No.
Are you afraid of somebody coming back after
Yeah,
you?
I'm afraid they'll come back, whoever, but no.
If you don't tell us something, are you afraid of that? Is that
No.
what you're afraid of?
No.
You know, we need to try to get somebody, if that's what happened, we need to try to get them off the street, right?
Right. But no, I would tell you I didn't hear anything. The only thing I can think of is,
Are you covering something up, Sandra?
no,
Why would you take a polygraph?
because I'm so stressed right now, I can't even think straight.
It's not a good reason.
Well, I just don't want it used against me, that's all. I'll take it, but not just.
Why would we
I
have to
mean,
use it against you?
Because I'm stressed and I mean,
What happens when we find only your DNA at that scene and no stranger?
I touched him. Of course
Besides
you're gonna
that,
we were in the tub together.
what if we don't find any stranger's DNA there?
I don't know. I mean, that's not my job, I don't know.
So your blood will never be a mixture into his blood.
I'm sorry?
The blood on him, there'll be never no mixture of your blood and his blood. If I'm bleeding right here in my hand, and he's bleeding, and I rub his hand, there should be none of my blood into his blood.
I'm not bleeding anymore.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. There should not be anything, right?
Of mine.
Right.
No. Not blood mixture, but
You understand that science has come a long way when
I
you
thought
talk
you
about
meant
DNA.
me touching, me having blood on me is from me
There's a
touching.
difference for you checking for a pulse and then the kind of DNA we're talking about. You know, you got some hellacious injuries on your arms.
But these are not, I'm not bleeding from them, these are burns.
You understand that, you know, we look at those injuries and we can tell what that's all about.
And what is that one all about?
Those are some wraparound bruising.
Wraparound bruising.
Yes, ma'am. And I won't go into reasons why that's caused like that. I won't do that now. But I'm just
I have
telling
no
you,
idea
you
what
need
that
to
is.
kind
Yeah.
of be honest with us.
At the scene and on Jim's body, law enforcement found no trace of Sandra's blood. They did, however, find two separate strangers' DNA. that of an unknown woman and an unknown man. Both of their DNA was found on jewelry boxes and drawers in the room, as well as another clue that detectives didn't uncover, but Sandra's daughter did.
You didn't hear your husband yelling at all?
No.
I mean, that's pretty, the wound that he had is it's a painful. He went through a lot of pain, he suffered a lot.
He was right there. That's less than 20, 25 feet from where you were at.
The only thing I can think of is that I was already out when that happened. That's the only thing I can think of.
Isn't it ironic that you black out at the exact time when he's getting stabbed and bludgeoned
I don't have an answer for you.
multiple times like that, dying, screaming for
gosh.
help?
Oh my gosh. Just,
I don't
you know what?
I don't understand that. That's ironic to me.
It's a lot of blood that he lost.
And wherever he encountered them before you did, before they came and knocked you out. That's why I think there was ample opportunity for you to hear something and nothing. And you're saying nothing. I mean, you could have had an army tank running in that bathroom and you'd hear that. That's what I don't understand.
Could you hear him?
No, I couldn't hear him.
Could you hear him yelling for help?
No,
Could you hear him screaming?
I didn't hear
I
anything.
mean, he was in pain. We know that. He suffered a lot. I need you to help me. I need you to help me. I need you to help me on this. Can you help me? I need you to help me.
I didn't
Sandra,
hear
can you
anything.
help
I
me?
didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything.
I need help, Sandra. Please help me. Screaming after screaming after screaming, he's in pain. I need help. Help me, Sandra. Help me. Tell me, your husband's a nice guy. He went through a lot of pain. Help me. Sandra, I need help. Please help me, Sandra. Sandra, help me. Sandra, I need help.
I
I
didn't
need
hear anything. Just stop already.
I need help, Sandra. I need help. Help me.
That's it. That's it. I need a lawyer. I'm not talking anymore because you guys are just trying to torture me here.
I'm not torturing you. I'm asking for help.
That's it.
Do you love your husband?
Yes, I love my husband.
Do you care about him?
Yes.
She wants to finally kill him.
Of course.
I don't think you do.
Did you kill your husband?
No, I didn't.
Did you have anything to do with your husband's death?
No.
I'll be back.
Immediately following this interrogation, one of the detectives attempted to file murder charges against Sandy. This attempt was rejected due to a lack of evidence at the time. The crime scene was still being processed, and no physical evidence linking Sandy to the crime had been uncovered. The scene of the crime was, undeniably, incredibly odd. Inside the bathtub, police located the kitchen knife that had been used to kill Jaime, as well as a white shirt and a towel. At first glance, the house appeared to have been ransacked. But upon closer inspection, detectives said it appeared that little had been disturbed. According to detectives, there was no sign of forced entry into the home. Sandra's defense, however, argued that there was, and also argued that the investigation had been lackluster from the start. Detectives reportedly never tested the blood found on this safe in Jim's closet. In the garage, Sandra and Jim's daughter Liz discovered a backpack stuffed under the car. Inside was an Xbox, video games, DVDs, and jewelry that appeared to have been stolen from the home. After Liz brought the bag to detectives' attention, they claimed that the bag must have been placed there after the search. However, photos taken during the initial investigation showed the edge of the backpack under the car, indicating that it had been there during their initial sweep. The bag was searched for DNA, which was then attributed to the same two strangers' DNA samples that were present on the jewelry boxes and drawers in the Melgar household. There was no DNA linking Sandra to the crime. Yet, a year and a half after the murder, Liz awakened to find several emails and physical letters from lawyers asking if she needed to hire counsel for an upcoming legal case. It was then she learned the news. Her mother was being charged with her father's murder. At trial, which took place 3 years after Sandra was arrested, the prosecution claimed that Sandra murdered Jaime to get his life insurance policy and to break out of their marriage. Because the couple were Jehovah's Witnesses, they claimed that Sandra would be unable to divorce her husband and had to resort to killing him instead. The defense argued that the life insurance policy, which had been filed over a decade before Jim's death and totaled $250,000, was not sufficient enough motive for Sandra to murder him, especially since she was on Jim's healthcare plan, and the majority of that money would simply go back to her medications and treatment without him. Though Sandra was discovered tied up in a closet, the prosecution claimed that she easily could have wedged the chair under the door and tied herself up, even going so far as to demonstrate this for the jury. They alleged that Sandra had staged the entire scene in order to get away with her husband's murder. They presented the idea to the jury that Sandy had seduced her husband, tied him up, and then struck him when he was at his most vulnerable.
And while he isn't looking, she makes a strike straight up all the way to his neck. That's what that first strike is. Jaime, of course, gets up to try and defend himself, turns around, and that's when she gets him on the thumb. And that's when the blood starts spurting out onto the chair.
The defense claimed that Sandra would have been unable to kill her husband, especially due to the severity of his injuries and the lack of trauma to her body. She had no broken nails or broken skin, and aside from the bruise, no marks indicating that she was in any kind of struggle. However, she had a nail that was described as cloudy, and the prosecution stated that this was from cleaning products used to clean up the crime. In reference to the cloudy nail, the prosecution stated, "That proves she's the one, that she did it." However, no evidence of cleaning products being used to clear any bodily fluids was found. All the drains in the home were tested, and none contained blood that would show Sandy had cleaned her husband's blood off her body or clothing either. It took the jury 8 hours to decide Sandy's fate. When her verdict was read, both she and her daughter collapsed to the ground. She was found guilty of murdering her husband and sentenced to 27 years in prison. By the time she's released, she'll be 71 years old. Currently, the Innocence Project of Texas is fighting for her release, but still, the question of her involvement remains. Did Sandy have something to do with the death of her husband of 32 years? Or is she an innocent woman that was railroaded?